I would like to have our first presentator for this afternoon. It's Mihai Criveti. He's a CTO and a senior technical staff member for Cloud Native and Red Hat Solutions, and Synergy GTM leader at IBM, supporting clients with solutions based on Red Hat portfolio, cloud and open source technologies. He's a Red Hat for open source development. Welcome, Mihai.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm really hoping that you can see me. I'm hoping that you can hear me, and very soon you'll be able to see my screen as I start sharing here. Are you able to see my my presentation?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to have to ask you to bear with me as I go through this presentation. I haven't used Windows in quite a few years, and unfortunately, we've been struggling a bit with WebEx events. So if things go wrong in the presentation or the layout, it's mostly to do with this new laptop I'm using. I'm going to talk to you about something very interesting and exciting, which is how container technologies can help companies transform and how they can shape the business. So I'm going to focus on the transformational value of adopting a cloud native and DevOps strategy, both from a technology perspective, but also from a strategic direction perspective. And I'm going to introduce a couple of interesting concepts here. So first, looking at big ideas. Big ideas are the ones that are driving business innovation. Cloud, machine learning, 5G, digital transformation, having an open organization, adopting a hybrid or a multi-cloud strategy. All of these foster innovation and help businesses transform. Every organization in every geography, in every industry, can create more customer value and differentiation by adopting open source technologies and open source culture and a strategy that helps them deliver their applications and their business goals faster. So the change in the pace and the speed of transformation is one of the key drivers of the key challenges that we're dealing with in today's IT landscape. That being said, what organizations care about are business challenges and opportunities and how they respond to those challenges through digital transformation, faster time to market, creating new partnerships, or creating new revenue streams. IT challenges come as a result of business challenges. It's nice that you have, the latest cutting edge DevOps platform, or it's nice that you have a great platform strategy, but on its own, unless you happen to be an infrastructure provider or you happen to sell, platform as a service to your customers, you need to tie that to a business challenge. You need to understand how, for example, your digital transformation is leading to continuous innovation, developer efficiency, and a platform or as a service model for your IT operations. All of this live in the real world where cost, time, sustainability, and risk are key factors. And what you're defining as your platform or as your strategy needs to provide some level of guarantee, resilience, compliance, security, availability, all of these items that help give your platform a resilient posture. Now, looking at how you create value and looking how creating value can help deliver applications faster, a couple of things come to mind. Cloud native applications, for example, is one new way to develop applications that leverage a cloud platform to deliver faster time to market. So having a cloud native platform on its own isn't really your business goal. The goal is to deliver innovation faster. AI and machine learning, unless you happen to be a research organization or a university, on its own doesn't provide value. What provides value is using those AI and machine learning technologies to deliver a business goal. Same with analytics, edge, having an innovation culture, and so on. So what I'm going to argue for and introduce is how the changes in the platform and the changes in the cloud native and the strategy that companies are adopting in their, let's say, cloud transformation are leading to faster response to business challenges, and how the strategy moving forward is radically different than the one we've seen in the past. So the CIO today has a number of IT challenges that they need to transform into future opportunities. Customers are demanding better experiences. I don't know if you're a banking customer or if you've ever interacted with a bank and you've used their mobile application, or you've used the way that you interact with a bank as a use case. But what you're seeing is that customers are no longer patient. They don't have the ability to wait, 3, 4, 5 days for a transaction to take place, or for them to see that that transaction has taken place. Especially since everybody has a phone, they tap their phone, payments are instant. The current climate, so for example, I'm in Dublin, and we've been under lockdown for what seems to be over a year now, right? With most of the businesses, pubs have been closed for over 400 days now. A lot of the businesses are only operating with their customers outside, and payment processing needs to happen using digital means. A lot of these companies have had to either transform or die. They can either shut down the door or they transform. And they need to transform very fast with very, very limited budget. All of the competitors are now cloud enabled and cloud native, and stakeholders are increasing the expectations. Now, all this sitting at home during COVID has given the attackers and the hackers a lot of idle time. We're seeing a ramp up on attacks, like a new, let's say, underground business has taken place of taking businesses hostage, and ensuring that your systems are cyber resilient has become more and more and more important. It used to be that if your systems were cyber resilient, you could shut down the IT system. Somebody would pick up an Excel file, or they'd just sell the product over the counter. That doesn't really work, especially in a lockdown climate where all of the business transactions are happening through digital channels. So we have this context and we have this background. Within the cloud space, what we are seeing is a transformation where we used to have private cloud and public cloud with very clear separation between the two. You had your core systems of records sitting in private cloud or sitting on premises, usually running technologies such as OpenStack or some other private cloud infrastructure or VMware. And then you had your public cloud, which was your systems of engagement, which were running on virtual machines, running on public cloud. Things have started to change dramatically. A couple of new technologies have entered the market. Container orchestration with Kubernetes, where IBM plays with its Openshift portfolio, have taken shape. Serverless has become very important to businesses as well. And different type of clouds have taken shape. Hybrid cloud, where you have private and public cloud strategies with the ability to move seamlessly between the two. Hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, where a vendor might have business requirements where they say, you know what, we're a bank and we have regulatory compliance that's telling us we need to have at least 2 vendors in case one goes down, or we need to exit one of the vendors. And these challenges have led to a very diverse procurement strategy, governance strategy, and technology strategy. And here's where Kubernetes, containers, and serverless technology come in to shape the industry and move it more towards a distributed multi-cloud strategy, where you're using one platform. In our case, in IBM strategy case, that's Openshift, the Kubernetes platform, to create a standard layer where your applications, your management, your automation are being built and decoupled from the underlying infrastructure. It doesn't matter if you're on premises, it doesn't matter if you're on a VM, on bare metal, on IBM Z, Linux One, on Power, on x86, on AWS, on Azure. You are developing and you're building applications, cloud-native applications that respond to a Kubernetes orchestrator. You have the Openshift and IBM Cloud Pak portfolio to support your application development strategy, and you're able to respond to these changing business needs. And you're able to use things like compliance or regulatory and automation strategies to their maximum effect. It's one thing if you're building a compliance or an automation framework for one platform. It's another if you have to do it time and time again every time a vendor or something changes in the market. So that's where we are from an industry perspective. And we are seeing a number of emerging trends here, such as overlay clouds with European certified clouds like IAX or federated clouds being put in place. We've also made some significant advancements recently in financial services clouds or industry clouds, which is another interesting trend that we are seeing on the market. And IBM's approach to cloud follows these 5 principles: hybrid, enabling enterprises across public, private, and traditional environments; multi-cloud, where we are able to manage other vendors' clouds, and we're also able to provide a platform that makes these environments heterogeneous; open, the ability to add, extend, and connect capabilities, open source platforms, open technologies, open APIs to extend them; secure, which is vital to today's business context; and managed. And this is a very important aspect as well. I would argue that most businesses are not in the management business. They're not developing a Kubernetes platform. They're not spending all their hard-earned time and cash and developing a platform, becoming a Kubernetes vendor or becoming a Linux vendor. Those are not the core of their goals here, right? They're trying to develop applications that serve business needs. And what we found, doing a number of external CIO studies, is that the hybrid cloud approach that leverages and picks up where the client is in terms of business reality can provide a lot more value than a single cloud strategy. And I'll give you a personal perspective, because in my previous role, I used to be the Red Hat, Openshift, Cloud Native, and multi-cloud solution leader for EMEA, Latin America, and Canada. So I was seeing a lot of deals coming in with business problems and business challenges, and I was helping create a solution for that. It would have been nice and very, very easy if I could ignore all the data gravity, if I could ignore all of the customer requirements, all of their strategic investments, and say, oh yeah, I'm just going to point you at one cloud provider. I'm going to say, here's your new platform, ignore the fact that data needs to be migrated. And there you go. You have one cloud provider. Let's see how that goes. That's never the case. What we see with all of the clients is that they have existing data, is that they have existing investments, existing strategic platforms. Perhaps they have one or more data centers or one or more existing applications and traditional applications, multiple platforms. And as they go into cloud, there isn't a lot of business value for them to now start to refactor those applications, which are working, and migrate them towards a public cloud only approach. We do see a lot of value and a lot of benefit when they adopt a hybrid cloud or two-speed system, where they're leveraging all of the business benefits of having an underlying OpenShift layer. They're developing their applications faster. They're getting the time to market, and they're giving the other applications and the existing ecosystem and environment they have the management tools to bring them into the future, to automate them, to orchestrate them, to leverage the data that they have on the platforms they have as they move forward with this approach. And unless you're developing a very simple application or just a proof of concept, or you happen to be a startup with 0 to no existing code base, this tends to be a much more valuable approach for customers. We're also seeing that this isn't necessarily a strategy, as it is a reality, right? It's not a question of, is the client going to adopt a multi-cloud strategy? They're already there. Chances are, 94% of customers are already using multiple environments, either public or private, or using more than one cloud provider, or have existing systems or traditional IT they haven't been able to fully move or transform towards the cloud. They're looking at movements between clouds as a priority concern, connectivity, integration, consistency of management, consistency of governance, consistency of orchestration. So all of these challenges are more of a reality today rather than some kind of a strategic plan and say, hey, we're going to move you to this. It's more, we are responding to give you the tools to properly manage, orchestrate, provide compliance, provide security, freedom and flexibility for the environments that you already have put in place. Speaking of IT challenges, one of the interesting challenges in adopting a cloud model is transforming the culture. It's great that you now have a new platform and you're developing your applications on Kubernetes or cloud native or a public cloud provider. The question is, what are you doing in terms of the way you are developing your new applications, transforming to an agile model, transforming to a DevSecOps model, ensuring that your development and operations are working together and aligning with the needs of your business. And this is where we see a lot of values for companies as well. I'll give you some more factual examples here. Right. What we see with a lot of traditional application development is that the client has been developing a number of applications with a development team, maybe a couple of contractors. Those maybe go away. They transition the application towards a steady state team, operations teams. And over time, those teams become maintenance. And from maintenance, they become keeping the platform secure, right? Patching. But they have lost the ability to make rapid changes to the platform. Think about any IT system that you're using today, right? Maybe it's related to accounting or procurement or internal IT or external IT. Chances are that if you have a requirement and you bring it to the business and say, I need a new button here and it needs to be green, it's going to take months to figure out who, how, when, ensuring that application gets deployed. Now, that used to work in the past as businesses were moving very, very slow. But what we're seeing is a change in the rate and the pace of innovation and being able to quickly respond to business needs. Hey, maybe this process that I have internally now needs to use a work from home approver instead of the person in the office because we can no longer be in the office. How do we make that change? How fast are we able to make that change? So that's one of the aspects where our solutions, our platforms, and our vision is aligning with what we're seeing on the market. The second aspect that we see is how do you build on existing investments? And it's fine to go into any major bank and say, you know what you need to migrate all of your applications to a new programming framework, move away from your existing investment, and you need to change everything overnight. It's like, great, that's going to take 5 years. We have 20 million lines of code written in very, very performant hand-designed assembly for a specific platform. We have all of our processes and we're integrating 3 other banks. That's not a reality, right? How do you leverage existing investments? How do you ensure that the data that you have is able to continue to provide a business value? And now you're able to connect it to a platform that's able to give those front end and those integration results much, much faster. We ran a couple of studies on the cloud native platform business value. So these were studies done with Openshift. Data's coming in from Red Hat. You can see the link there if I can just remove that. That we see a 66% improvement in development lifecycle by moving towards a Openshift container platform, 36 more applications per year, 8-month payback period, and on average of 1.19 million benefits for a development team. And that's just a metadata study. So we looked at a number of clients, we looked at the way they were using these platforms to obtain business benefit and business value. And the reality is that being able to respond quicker to business needs and giving developers platforms that give them both operational aspects and management aspects as part of the platform itself provides a business value on its own. One aspect to note is that most customers we talk to are not in the business of managing a platform. However, they're spending a lot of time on managing the platform. So what we mean by that is they try to do the DIY approach where they say, oh, great, Kubernetes cloud native platform, we're going to put together our own solution. And what you quickly find is that you have your development pipeline, CI/CD, operating system, registry, security, network, automation, authentication, all that need to be built and tested. And then the balance between the time that you're spending building your application and the time that you're spending building your platform is not optimal. Additional costs apply. So the approach that we found to be ideal is the one that we have with our Red Hat portfolio, where we are using the knowledge, the time, the investment, and the energy of these teams. And by the way, don't be scared by this slide. It's not what you need to do. It's what we do, right? We take and we select this puzzle. We take all the puzzle pieces that are necessary to put together a platform. We test them. We work with a partner ecosystem of hundreds of partners. We work with multiple platforms, and we ensure that you get a product at the end. Think about it like a car challenge. I need a new car. Do I go on Amazon or Parts or eBay and start buying, 20,000 different parts and put my car together, and then go through a process of homologation and testing and validation, and maybe I need to build 3 cars and I need to crash 2 into the wall, right? That's kind of the challenge that a lot of businesses are taking when they're going down the DIY approach with these platforms. They have decided they need a car, and the best approach is to create their own custom car with a user base of maybe 2 or 3. It's them for the development, test, and production environment. And that specific implementation is going to have a user base of 1, the versions and all of the puzzle pieces. So a better approach, and the approach that we are advocating, is to go with a container platform that's enterprise ready, that has been tested. Now, some of you may ask, okay, so why do I really need a container platform? Why are containers the next new thing in software development, and why are businesses so interested in having a container platform? Well, think of it of shipping before they invented the shipping container. Before the shipping container was invented, people would just place stuff on boats and hope it gets to the destination, right? Some of the merchandise might disappear, some would use pallets, some would use non-standardized ways to deploy and package those goods. Containers are a feature of the Linux operating system that lets you package an application as one standard unit, one building block. Kubernetes, as a technology, is a container orchestrator that ensures that you have the right number of containers running, high availability is ensured, all the resources are available to your applications that are packaged as containers. And Openshift is an enterprise-ready Kubernetes platform with end-to-end automated operations to help you manage and build a multi-cloud strategy. Things like intelligent scheduling, self-healing, horizontal scaling, service discovery, secret configuration, and much, much more in a tested way. So you have the compliance aspect, you have all of the testing aspect, and you have a catalog of more than 500 operators. Now, I'm going to get to operators as well, because that's a very interesting perspective. If you're trying to build a platform yourself, or if you're going with bits and pieces of the puzzle, what you typically find is that this is a very complex space. You have to deal with your infrastructure, then your platform, then your container runtime, then you have things like network and storage and security and monitoring. All of these aspects need to be bundled and put together and tested to work in an ideal way. What you get with Openshift and IBM's strategy is a cloud-like experience everywhere that has been fully tested end-to-end and takes into account the automated operations aspects as well. So what do we mean by automated operations? Well, it's basically like this. When you're deploying your container platform across any of the cloud providers, you're putting your workload on top. But that only responds to one aspect, which is deployment, right? So you're going to deploy your applications onto your platform, but what are your applications? What are they running on? What software are you using? What middleware are you using? What databases are you using? And who's managing those databases? And what we provide as part of our portfolio is IBM Cloud Paks, which is trusted, tested, automated middleware products, our WebSphere and our existing product portfolio, as well as new applications and tools that give you, data, AI, all of these capabilities to quickly build applications on top of, and an ecosystem that lets you focus on where you want to be, which is the application lifecycle management. You want to spend as little time here, especially in testing and fixing and working with the upstream communities on integrating your SC Linux or infrastructure support or SDN technology. You want to spend as much time here in develop, build, run, and manage applications that you want to build that serve a business need. And one of the key aspects that you get with Openshift is the ability to automate those operations through an operator, which basically means that once you've built your application, you can also use DevOps principles to automate the operational knowledge into the application. So rather than responding to an incident, which is at 2 a.m., you're going to get a call, hey, the application is down, I need a sysadmin to come in and figure out what went wrong, look at the logs, maybe restart my application while your business is suffering. You're changing the way that you're developing your application to encode that operational knowledge into the application and to make it respond automatically. Hey, is the application down? Kubernetes is going to restart it for you. Is the application having an issue with disk space? We're going to assign more disk space. Is the application responding to increasing number of customer demands? If you're in operations, that's a problem. If you're in business, great. Somebody's buying our product. They're hammering our website. That means more business, more revenue. You want to make sure that you respond to that. And you don't want to call a person at 3 a.m. hoping they're around, hoping they respond to their phone, hoping the COVID restrictions allow them to travel, right? You want to be able to encode that knowledge and that auto-scaling role, all of those availabilities directly into your application and your business logic. And that's what you get with the automated operations, with the Openshift marketplace, the ability to uniformly deploy and encode your operational knowledge. It's not just installation, it's not just upgrade, it's autopilot, right? It's horizontal, vertical auto-scaling, abnormal detection, tuning, metrics, logging, monitoring that you're able to encode, and you're able to do so with your existing skills. If you know Ansible, you can use Ansible. If you know Go, you can use Go. And on top of this, you have your application middleware that's delivering your non-function requirements, your middleware, and your application space. So with that, I'm going to take questions if there are any questions from the chat.